L'Oreal Lumi Lay Blush versus Maybelline Sunkisser. Which is better? Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I thought I'd do a bit of a comparison type of video. I recently talked about the newest liquid blushes from L'Oreal. I did a video recently. I will link it if you haven't seen it. All the new launches from the drugstore, I ordered them as soon as they were available online at Ulta and on Amazon, and I did a full video on it, and I was so impressed with pretty much everything in that video. These blushes were a standout in that video. They're pigmented, they look so pretty on the skin, and I like the fact that they're dewy but not overly greasy, and they're not very shimmery. They're a nice kind of soft satin look to the skin, and I love these. A lot more bold than I thought going into it as far as pigmentation is concerned, and a little bit goes a long way. I love these. There's the dewy version and then they have a more luminous version. So these were a hit, but let's talk about Maybelline. They came out with the Sunkisser blushes recently, and I did not intend to purchase these because these were seemingly very shimmery based off of the photos on the Ulta website. And I don't like a very luminous blush. So that's why I chose these specific shades in L'Oreal, because the finish of it was a little bit more on the softer side, more satiny versus more luminous and a very obvious sheen and shimmer to the skin. I only picked up one shade in this lineup from Maybelline, one that looked a little bit more satiny, one that could be a little bit more doable and wearable for me personally. Again, back to my personal preferences, I don't like a lot of shimmer and intense glow to my blushes. So this shade that I ordered is shade number 01 Downtown Rush. You can get these online at Amazon, you can get them at Ulta, and eventually you will see these in store as well. But this shade looks like a really pretty kind of summery peach vibe with a subtle kind of sheen to it. Like, it's very doable and I can wear this. The shade Dewy Worth It seems pretty close. Now the Dewy Worth It, which is this one here, seems to have a little hint of pink to the undertone of the color, but I think I could pull it off and try to do a comparison. Maybelline on one side, L'Oreal on the other. So I thought that would be fun to compare them because these both are very new and they're very similar as far as the kind of, I guess, the category of product that it is. It's a liquid blush with a bit of luminosity to it, a kind of summer vibe type of thing, and it's part of their summer lineup for this year. So I thought, why not compare Maybelline to L'Oreal and see which is better. So it's time to do the test to see which one is going to work. So I'm going to do L'Oreal on this side. And as I mentioned, I'm doing a wear test for a foundation. It's not looking the best. It's looking a little dry and kind of patchy in certain areas, especially around the nose. So if you see that, please overlook that. It's part of reviewing new products and testing out a foundation. So let's look past that. I'm going to do the method of applying this to my makeup palette because these are so pigmented. I personally do not want to go in and do dots because I don't want to ruin further my base complexion, even though it doesn't look that great. I'm just going to apply this to my makeup palette. All right, so on my makeup palette, I have it angled not to blind you. I get that you can see the reflection on this. The top one is the L'Oreal Lumi Lay Liquid Blush in the Dewy Worth It shade, and you can see there that it does have a little bit more pink to it, and right underneath is the Maybelline in the Downtown Rush number 01. So when I was swiping both of these applicators, which they both have the same doe foot applicator, the L'Oreal one seemed a little bit thicker when I was putting it onto the makeup palette. The Maybelline seems a little bit thinner and maybe possibly translate to less pigment. We don't know that yet, but just looking at it, the Maybelline one is thinner than L'Oreal. I'm adding the L'Oreal to this side, and I'm using an angled blush brush. And the first time I used this, I went in way too much. These are very pigmented. You don't need that much. A little bit goes a long way, so you will have these for a very long time. And the formula is beautiful. It blends with ease, and even over this kind of patchy powder and foundation mess that I've got going on here, this is actually looking better. Like, this blush improved the way this area of my face looked. It's crazy how smooth and blurring this blush formula is. The color is absolutely beautiful, and I almost didn't buy this because I bought this one and a pink shade. I'm so glad that I ordered this shade because it's so, so beautiful. It's stunning. And I'm going to now blend onto the apples of the cheek, whatever's left on my brush, and continue blending this out. Look at that. So beautiful. It's the perfect everyday blush. I went looking for a new brush that had a very similar feel and bristles to be fair with the application. So I was using an old brush that I've had for years from IT Cosmetics. So we're going to use the BK Beauty 109 for the Maybelline side. And I'm going to start tapping this in on the higher points and then slowly working my way towards the apples of the cheek, because this is my first time using this formula and I'm not quite sure how this is going to be as far as blend and pigmentation. And this color is really pretty, and it's very similar when you apply both of these. It's very hard to tell maybe on camera the differences. This has a little bit more pink. I'm going to add a little bit more Maybelline. I do think that the Maybelline is lighter in pigment, but it's still showing up and it's still blending really nicely though. And looking really, really close, I see a very subtle hint of like a golden sheen to the skin. It actually looks really pretty. It's not something that is overly shimmery where it would accentuate texture, large pores. I think it's fine. I think it gives a very soft, very gentle, barely noticeable, kind of like a candlelit glow. And I honestly see a very similar sort of blurred effect on the Maybelline side, like I do with the L'Oreal. Now I get on camera, you could probably tell that it has a little bit more pink to it versus this side, the Maybelline side, has more of a typical peach tone to it. I do love how the Maybelline side blended in. I think that it's very similar, just looking at it, to the L'Oreal side as far as the blurring and the ease of application, the ease of blending. And this says a lot because the base, as I mentioned before, my foundation and powder is not my favorite. Like I said, it's a new combination, so I just really am impressed. Honestly, I gotta hand it to Maybelline. They are pretty solid when it comes to products at the drugstore, and the same can be said for L'Oreal. They do have great products across the board. At least for me personally, I have enjoyed everything I've tried so far from L'Oreal, and I've enjoyed pretty much everything from Maybelline as well. So I feel like putting these head to head, it's kind of like helpful because I don't necessarily think you need both. So I think that the deciding factor is shade, okay? If there's a shade in the L'Oreal line that you gravitate towards versus what you see in the Maybelline Sunkisser, that could sway you one way or the other. But as far as formula, blend, and the way it looks on the skin, to me, in my opinion, they perform very, very similarly. The price point is a little bit different, but not by much, to be honest with you. And like I said, I think the bottom line is whether or not you like a specific shade in Maybelline and the L'Oreal line, you kind of have to see what they offer. There's a few different shades in both of them. I will say that the Maybelline Sunkisser range has more bronzy tones, some deeper tones to cater to a lot of different skin tones. The L'Oreal doesn't have quite as much bronzy vibes. I think that's part of the Sunkisser sort of campaign and photos. It's summer, it's bronzy, it's giving those kind of bronze goddess vibes. So they're going to have several shades that are more goldeny, more bronzy, a little bit more copper. I'm kind of curious to see some of these other shades from Maybelline in person to kind of see what it looks like through the component, which by the way is the exact same component as their lifter glosses and their lifter plumping glosses as well. And I like it. I like the packaging, the writing on it, the colored cap is really nice. And then this one is a little bit less kind of flashy compared to Maybelline. But it doesn't really matter the component. It's mostly the formula and the color and the blend and the wear. And this is a beautiful formula. So I love them both. I'm not quite sure if this is really that helpful for you to decide and walk away from this video deciding and knowing which one you want to try. But I hope that kind of putting my thoughts out there kind of gives you some idea of both of them and kind of helps you in deciding which way to go. So which one do you like? The L'Oreal or the Maybelline? All right, so I finished the rest of my makeup and I wanted you to see these blushes with everything else complete, and I feel like that kind of helps you see what this looks like a little bit better. So this is the L'Oreal side in the Dewy Worth It shade. And then this is the Maybelline Sunkisser in Downtown Rush. So as I said before, when you're thinking about looking into these shades and which one to purchase and what to try. I do think that comes down to shade preference. And another thing to note is your desired finish. If you want something a little bit more blurring and a lot more satin on the face, then I think you'll like these dewy versions from the L'Oreal line. Now, if you like something that has a little bit more glow and more radiance to it, you may want to go look at the Sunkisser blushes from Maybelline. I think that those look really luminous and may offer that luminosity that you're looking for. So if you like a very dewy, luminous cheek that looks juicy and plump and hydrated with a nice sheen, based off of the photos online, that's what I think is going to be the end result with those blushes from Maybelline. And I can't really choose just because I feel like the finishes are pretty similar with these two specific shades. But I'm having a hard time choosing. I think I like this subtle kind of pinky tone, and maybe it's just because of the eye look, but I do like this kind of peachy vibe. And that wraps up today's video. I hope that this was helpful, seeing these two new blush formulas go head to head so you can kind of decide which one to try. Let me know in the comments down below which one you liked. Which one do you think you will purchase based off of today's video? Do you want to see more shades of these? Let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos like this in the future. I would love to do more drugstore content, so let me know what you want to see and let me know your feedback on these blush formulas. If you've tried them, which shades are you loving and eyeing? Which are you going to pick up for the summer? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being here, for watching, and let's be friends on Instagram. My username is here. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.